So today is Thursday, October 23rd, and for today's forecast, kind of going to lead you through the process of how I create the forecast. So we'll do it relatively quick and then show you the forecast as normal. So if we actually switch out and look at the radar this morning, you see nothing going on across the area, nice and calm precipitation wise. These are some of the latest temperatures coming in, and as you can see, it's showing the upper 30s with some isolated spots in the mid 30s. I don't 100% buy into some of the station data. I know my home's weather station and a couple other local weather stations are showing 34 degrees right now. So some of those more rural outlying areas are seeing temperatures in the low 30s, hence why we have the frost advisory until 9 a.m. this morning. I do want to point out that the wind chill, we're seeing some wind chill values here up around central Indiana, right around freezing, below freezing, even upper 20s. Again, the wind chill is just a combination of the temperature and the winds and how it feels to an object or a person outside. So we did have one reading here in southern Indiana of a wind chill of 33, which is right around what the actual air temperature is. Now, let's go ahead and start creating our forecast, not only for today, but for the next 7 days. And so to do that, I'm going to start off on something. This is just referred to as a 200 millibar map. That means if we go up into the atmosphere until the pressure is 200 millibars, that's what we're looking at here, okay? And it's showing the colors you see are the winds, and then the wind barbs that you're seeing, the little arrows with the notches on them, those are the wind speeds. So, and directions. So is what we look at on this map is we try to isolate the jet stream. Okay, do we have a jet streak? Are there areas of convergence and divergence, which leads to potential, precipitation events? Or are we seeing troughs, which is where we see low pressure systems, or ridges where we see high pressure systems? And so that's really what this map is for identifying. And so if I put this into motion, and this is all the European weather model, but if I put this into motion here, as you can see, we have a trough in the area northeast of us. That's why we've had a dip in the temperatures, of course, okay? But as we go ahead and continue to back that up, or continue forward rather, I want to point out that we do see a formation of activity here across this area, actually just north of that area. So sometimes I've got to circle things blind on here. This is going to indicate the possibility of some sort of an event. So if we look at the date, you see that it says Saturday. So if I continue to run this forward, you can see that that is across our area Saturday, Sunday, and starting to exit the area on Monday. So that'll tell us, hey, let's watch for that as we look at some other values. I'm going to continue to put this into motion here, and we kind of go into what's called a zonal when you don't see a whole lot of troughs or ridges. We do see a small little trough coming in around Monday. That's probably that system exiting off to the East Coast that we're going to have this weekend. And then we watch and we have another trough across our area as we head in towards Wednesday. And so what that could mean is a couple of different things. It could mean some precipitation, or it could mean, and this is next Wednesday for the record, or it could mean a possibility of we have some cooler temperatures in, like another reinforcing cold front or something. We are seeing the jet stream, and you can see that illustrated across the area. Okay, that's where the jet stream would be located. But I want to bump this forward quickly because I want to check on our friends. This is when we go more zonal, where you see these lines, their height lines are more east to west and not north and south. But let's check on what our friends said here. Our friends, the hype pretenders, I'll call them, was calling for a massive outbreak of snow and cold and all sorts of apocalyptic stuff around Halloween. It's not on here. Okay. Now, if you go forward a couple days, you'll see it form exactly what they're talking about. Here it is. This is November 2nd. And I'm just pointing this out because in the past 24 hours, the computer models have taken this from October 30th to October 31st and have delayed it 3 days. This is why, specifically, you cannot look at anything over 7 days out. I know how society is. You want to know what it's going to do in 2.5 weeks. I understand that. But if you want an accurate answer, You need to stick to anywhere in the 3 to 5 day range with confidence, and that's what's important. I do want to point out one other thing that we typically look for. This over here along the East Coast, or just off the East Coast, that's called a jet streak. For instance, those winds are around 165 knots. Put that in perspective, that's around 185 or so miles per hour. Now, again, this is up at 200 millibars in the atmosphere, so very high in the atmosphere. But when you see something like that, and we'll see if I can actually draw this in the correct position. Yeah, kind of. You typically see you can create a feature like this where you circle it, break it up into 4 quadrants, and these quadrants, okay, the right entrance and the left exit are where you see convergence at the surface of the Earth. If you see convergence at the surface of the Earth, that means that air is meeting, it's converging, and it's rising. And when it rises, that's when you see cloud formation, the possibility for precipitation. So, does this affect us? No. Going forward, when you see this on future video forecasts that I do, you'll be able to recognize that. Now, let's go ahead and switch over to surface. I'll reset the map and let's go to, let's see here. Let's go, I'm actually just going to go to precipitable water. I think this is a good way to look at things. Precipitable water, again, you take the entire column of the atmosphere over you and you condense it into precipitation. How much are we actually going to see out of it? Again, the browns are drier air, the greens are more moist air, the blues and purples are the most moist air. So let's go forward in this. You can see dry air now, no precip. You'll see that kind of in our forecast. Here's this event that we were talking about. You can see it on the 200 millibar map, and it moves into the area. Now, I want to point this out. We're not seeing this moisture start to enter the area until later in the afternoon Saturday. We've had that pesky high pressure system that's been keeping it away. But we don't see the real moisture really enter the picture until very late on Sunday into Monday. And that matters when we start talking about the actual forecast. But I want you to notice that even after Sunday and Monday, we are now getting into Tuesday morning here. I want you to notice how that area just kind of stayed over us. That's why we're going to see a prolonged chance of showers not only Sunday, but as we head into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday until we get this reinforcing front to come through on the backside of it, which will bring in much drier air around Halloween. Okay. So, what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead out, we're going to go to our forecast. For today, sunny skies. We can see that on the satellite this morning. Starting off cool. Again, we had that frost advisory in effect until 9 a.m. Warm up into the mid to upper 50s. We're going to have a wind out of the west northwest, ushering in that cooler air, about 3 to 6 miles per hour. And then as we head into the next 7 days, we actually see that we are under a freeze warning. It's no longer a watch, a freeze warning for overnight hours tonight. That is from 2 a.m. tomorrow morning until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. So, again, anything you don't want to lose outside, vegetation wise, cover it up, bring it inside if you possibly can. But we're going to see our first freeze of the season tonight into tomorrow morning. As for precip chances this weekend, we've got a slight chance of showers late Saturday as that moisture starts to work into the area. And then we're going to keep a 30 to 40% chance of showers as we head through the beginning of next week, with those temperatures really indicating that the fall weather is here to stay. So that's kind of the makings of a forecast. That's kind of what we look at. I like to try to empower you and educate you, and I feel this is a good way to do that, so that when you do see something that somebody else posts, you can always kind of fact check that on your own. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful day today. We'll see you back here tomorrow.